Meritocracy. It's the belief that people should rise as high in the world as their talents deserve. And it's a word totally unfamiliar to the Johnson family. Rachel Johnson, the Prime Minister's sister, was joined on her LBC show by geriatric Nepo baby and father of Boris, Stanley Johnson, to give their verdict on the disgusting state of England's water companies.
Who is at fault for this happening? You've talked about the environmental European framework, which we've slightly stepped away from, even though the Tory government said that we would meet all those standards. So is it the water companies, as Emma Howard-Boyd says, or is it the Tory government which hasn't actually made enough of this illegal?
I would say we have to blame the government for not pressing this matter as hard as he should have done. And of course, absent the EU push as well, you can understand how the government has felt able to, to not push this thing as it should have pushed.
So, there we have the Prime Minister's sister asking the Prime Minister's dad whether the fact our seas are full of sewage is the government's fault. It is, they say, without ever mentioning the name of the person who runs it. And look, I'm sure Rachel and Stanley feel certain they've pulled themselves up by their proverbial bootstraps, but it's hard to imagine that they would have had a fraction of the prominence and access to platform that they enjoy now were it not for their dear relatives' ascent up the political greasy pole. We can blame Southern Water and all the rest of them for the river of shit polluting our seas, but it's the private school to halls of power pipeline that we have to thank for the posh flotsam we have clogging up Parliament and the press. I can't stand the private education system, and I think that if we were a serious country, if we meant what we say about the value of hard work and talent, we simply wouldn't have it. And I don't think that private schools produce an elite class of intellects who are more deserving of prominence or of being trusted with power. And you only have to listen to Rachel Johnson, Stanley Johnson, and indeed Boris Johnson for that to be proved time and again. I mean, you listen to Stanley Johnson talk, and he is a terrible speaker. And I'm not saying, oh, it's, stumbling over words or these things which are just really human things to do. He's saying nothing of value. It's just like there are all these pound coins falling out of his mouth. It's like, and nothing makes sense. There is no quality information which is actually being divulged. And I come away from it feeling stupider than I was before I watched him be interviewed on LBC. And that for me is the problem with private schools, is that they exist purely to catapult the undeserving to positions that they would never have attained if they were being judged on their own merit.